So comparatively speaking, preventing problem behavior takes a lot more time and resources than providing a consequence to a behavior. But putting the work up front to prevent behaviors will provide students with more opportunity to be in the classroom learning with their peers. So upfront work definitely pays off for students in the end. When we look at prevention, there are 4 main areas to focus. So first, know what to avoid. Many educators know specific items or phrases to use or say with specific students. If you have that information, that's great, and share it with other educators. But know that there are common items to avoid when working with all students. These include power struggles or long periods of no movement and reprimands, especially when reprimanded in front of their peers. Second, know the learning environment. For students who are in-person learning, ensure a seating arrangement while following any current district guidelines, of course, promotes positive peer interactions. And for students who are remote learning, consider creating breakout groups that also promote positive peer interactions and have opportunities for positive peer modeling. Third, have a process in place where students are guaranteed opportunities to receive more positive feedback than negative. PBIS has numbers of somewhere around 4-to-1 to 5-to-1 ratio, where students are provided more positive interactions from their teacher than they are negative. This starts getting at the relationship between the students and the teacher, which we're going to cover in a little bit. But finally, it's critical to address problem behavior immediately and in a supportive manner. It provides students with immediate feedback and keeps the current situation at the forefront. So this helps with having a restorative conversation with the student and identifying ways the student can improve in the future. So for students who are in-person learning, it's best to address the behavior one-on-one, whether it's in a specific part of the classroom or in the hallway. For students who are remote learning, consider transitioning into a quick 3-minute breakout room where you're with the student individually, and other students obviously would have something to work on, or consider addressing it individually at the next available moment. But I fully acknowledge knowing what to do and having ideas to address behavior can be difficult. Luckily, there are a lot of resources available to help provide ideas. While I'll be mentioning more at the end of this session, one resource, and again, here's a link that we can post in the chat for you so you have this resource readily available. One resource is this behavior intervention guide. So it isn't your typical intervention guide, rather it shows how teachers can make simple adjustments to support prevention, increase appropriate behavior, decrease inappropriate behavior, and provide strategies for effective behavior management. Ideas fill this guide that can be applied fairly easily and even better without a whole team needing to do the work. So for example, it shows ideas for providing structure and gives recommendations such as structuring a daily routine and structuring non-instructional periods, including recess. So it's quick tips like these that can help individual teachers as well as teams in buildings make adjustments to their practices that will help in promoting positive behavior for all students. But what's even better is that many of these tips can be applied to remote learning, such as allowing time for the student to take breaks during difficult work activities and providing alternate methods for asking for help. Having access to quick suggestions like these in this guide are so helpful for educators to help us better improve the learning environment for all students. So while having recommendations for improving the environment is always helpful, we must keep in mind that we must also know what life is like for students both in school and at home. So when we look at student school life, we can see where we could help in some areas, and we may pull some strategies like we saw in the guide previously reviewed, but what we don't always know is what their home life is like. And oftentimes, students carry home situations into the classroom. Without knowing what home life looks like for students, it can be very hard to know how we can better support the students at school. Just so you know, for those of you who are not surveying your families or parents, no worries there. For those of you who are, you're just one step ahead. So just know that when you survey your parents or families, just know that it doesn't have to be a formal survey. It doesn't have to be anything that's paid for or that you spend a lot of time creating, but rather what you can do is do something simple, such as have a writing prompt and have students respond to a writing prompt for what their home life is like or what they did last night. You can also do this through a conversation that you have with a student.